Hello and welcome everybody. This is Moose from OccupyFantasy.com at OccupyFantasy on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Again, I'm your host Moose at CFB_Moose on Twitter is where you can find me. Co-founder and data guru here at OccupyFantasy.com. Alongside with me today is Brian at BrianJesterFF on Twitter, co-founder and CEO of Occupy Fantasy. How's it going, Brian?
The most happy November. Can't believe it's November 1st already. It's so crazy. But yeah, I'm doing good. What's up?
Not too much. November 1st means all the Halloween decorations came down. And then this is like the big brain play. Me and my fiance went to Target and got all the candy half off.
That's the move. That's a veteran move.
Yeah, so we saved like 60% off the candy. And I've been crushing like Dots and Skittles all
Dude,
night.
I know.
So
I
I'm
know.
fired up.
I know. We didn't get as many trick or treaters as we thought we would, so that left us with a surplus of candy, which I think I've gotten about 10 cavities in the past 2 days. So
Exactly. But yeah, so Halloween is over. It's November. We're here to break down the Week 8 edition of the $1 Million Mission, where we take a look at your lineups, Brian, how you did, what you did, what you won, lost, etc. Over some images, what other people did, and we answer questions along the way. Have a good time. So the first image to start off is...
the time is very subjective this week.
I know. So we'll start off with a positive. We'll start off with how we did in the DraftKings Pick'em. OBS got kicked out somehow. So let's see. All right, are we still live by any chance?
I think we're still live.
Okay, sweet. So let me go ahead. Somehow clicking on the Survivor image just absolutely deleted the the streaming software. All right, cool. So we're back in the game now. This is what happens when you do it live. So again, Brian and I, we do the DraftKings Pick'em. We have 10 entries in total. We locked Baltimore, the Thursday night game, which for the naked eye seemed super counterintuitive. They were -1.5. The spread was them +2. So Brian, I want to get your take on why we did that, and it was a good outcome.
Yeah, so we're back in as we talked about a little bit last week, is we're able to accurately predict the field, which is the same thing we do in DFS. And to be honest, we weren't really, the past year and a half, season and a half, we weren't necessarily maximizing that to our fullest potential, but now we really understand who's going to be low owned, who's going to be super popular, and just realizing that basically every game is a coin flip when it comes to spreads. We don't have some super sophisticated model to predict the outcomes of NFL games on a side basis. And so why don't we just take these coin flips and if we're going to play a coin flip, play at the lowest possible percentage, right? Or play it against a team that is super popular when they really shouldn't be. So yeah, we locked Baltimore. We knew they would be super low owned. Same with most of these teams. We thought they'd be relatively low owned. And even though we only went 4-3, it's a winning week. We moved up pretty significantly because most of those teams were lower owned.
Yeah, I was actually surprised that Baltimore was 10% picked in that pool. Usually the Thursday night games are in the 1 to 3%, especially with the negative line move. But hey, I'll take it. Yeah, so that's good. We're hoping to just keep jamming it through, and hopefully we can go up and get some cashes in there. The next one here. Why did the pictures go away? Oh, because I clicked the wrong button again.
Struggling over there on November 1st.
I know. This I had to update OBS for the first time in like 3 months, and so maybe some of the buttons are a little bit different, but
I refuse to update it just because I'm scared that this might happen.
Yes,
so
exactly.
I've delayed the update for like literally a year now.
Yeah, so tickets still only have the one King of the Beach. Brian, there needs to be a Netflix documentary on like the luckiest, unluckiest person, because every single time it's like you'll message me midway through the fourth quarter. I'm in second. I'm in third. I need just like 3 points from this person, a catch from this person, a rush from this person, and it just never happens.
Dude, the amount of second and third place satellite finishes this year have been just nauseating for NFL. Yeah, that streak has continued once again this week. Needed a couple points last night in the Bengals game. Couldn't get there, so we're still stuck on one King of the Beach ticket. In the FanDuel Fan Championship, I needed one touchdown from Arizona on any of their final 3 drives to win a live final seat. That obviously did not happen. They couldn't manage to do that. So we're still stuck here with the one ticket and minus -1,000,000% ROI, but as expected for live finals because they're very tough to get.
Yes, exactly. Sweet. And so we'll go over to the next one. And this is for your other results in the non-live final stuff. Small field, back to a percentage that I like to see. When you sent me this image, I said nice, and with the exclamation point. Plus 13.6% in small field, minus 68% and minus 70% in 150 Max Classic, 150 Max Showdown, respectively. I would say, Brian, this is probably like your sweet spot here.
Honestly, I should be higher. I still literally have not won a small field contest. I have not gotten first yet, and so it's still only 13.6%. This number last year was 25 to 30%, depending on what you're looking at.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm aiming to get back to that point. It'd be nice to get some top 1% variance for a change. It has been a while since I've gotten some, so I'm really looking forward to that. The 150 Max Classic ROI keeps improving despite being negative 68. It was like minus 80% towards the first couple weeks of the season. So getting closer. Showdown is improving. A spike week is imminent. It is so close. I can taste it. The spike week is coming so soon. And this will be great for clipping for Twitter and other social media when it does happen. But the spike week is so close to happening. I just need one little ounce of variance to go my way, and we'll see it happen. And maybe just one chalk player could fail once.
This actually brings up a good point. There was a member in our Discord who she's absolutely crushing it over in NBA and NFL, and she's saying, I keep getting these top 1% finishes. I'm getting first, second, or not first. I'm getting third, fourth, fifth. What do I need to do to get to that first place finish in those blanks? And we all said, it's just variance. Once you get to that top 0.1%, you just need something to go your way or something not to go your way, and that's what gets you from third to first, second to first, fifth to second, etc. And so as long as you keep doing what you're doing, you get up in those chances to where you just need something to happen your way. Couple catches, a rush, and in your case, Arizona touchdown. Like, you put yourself in a great situation, great spot.
Yeah, I've been in a good spot for literally like 15 to 20 straight slates. So just gonna pray a little bit harder to the DFS gods, and let's see if they grant my wishes this week.
And so when the bank calls, you're like, look, guys, I'm in a good spot, but I can't pay right now. But I'm in a good spot, I swear.
Listen, can I pay you with second and third place finishes?
Definitely. So let's go back. And Brian, I know we were talking about this. We wanted this to be the integral part of the show. I'm going to go ahead and hopefully this works. Let me see here.
As you pull it up, Moose, Neil in the chat says, green is good, right? Maybe you should just play small field. Yeah, at this point, maybe I should just play small field. But, we're in this one long game. We know that all it takes is 1 week for every other category to turn green, which is why that's the beauty of large field contests. So we're just patiently waiting for that 1 week for everything to turn green. Just flip the switch.
Definitely. And so let's see if this will work here. Hey, nice, it does. All right, so this was the 2222, the $2,222 thing where you had 2 tickets for on Thursday night. And I'll just let you take it away, honestly.
Yeah, so this was the 3-3-3-3, so 3K ticket. I've been grinding Showdown tickets for this. It was the Baltimore Tampa Bay game. It was a 639 player. You said it's right there on the screen. 639 player GPP. I finished 61st. I was 5th before the final touchdowns, 5th or 7th, whatever it was. But what was really nauseating about this, and you don't really get too many chances like this, is that I was basically debating between 2 versions of this lineup that you see on screen. The one that you just had up for me. Bateman obviously getting hurt immediately and getting 0 points is devastating. However, the other lineup I was looking at had Chris Godwin in that spot because you don't have the extension enabled here, but this lineup left 2,500 left on the table, and I could have upgraded to either Andrews or it could have upgraded to either Chris Godwin. And my goal with this lineup, so let's just talk about what my goal was with these 2 lineups. First of all, I had 2 lineups. The first was to do a Lamar Jackson fade. I knew he was going to be 75, 80% owned. If I built a really balanced lineup that couldn't upgrade to him, either he fails or just gets priced out, I thought that would be relatively unique, and I could play pretty much whatever I wanted there. And I did that, and I figured with my other lineup, I would play Lamar Captain, played a little chalkier that way, but get a little different in the flex. What you see here with Devin Duvernay, 11%, Isaiah Likely is 17%. Left 2,500, and I was so dead set on this, like, Lamar Jackson leaving a lot of salary lineup that it clouded my judgment a bit because I was, and I was telling you before the show. So basically I had 2 versions of this lineup in the lineup builder. I had already built them, and I was debating on which ones I was going to export. And I literally throughout the afternoon, I had already built it early in the day. I was locking one, unlocking the other, vice versa. And the other one had Godwin here. And if Godwin was in the lineup, if I chose that lineup, I would have got first place for $1 million, which is a $995,000 difference, obviously. And so very rough once I realized that towards the end of the game. And the issue was, I mean, it was a mistake because I honestly thought that lineup would be duplicated. But even so, I still probably I should have been okay with that because I was playing for two different outcomes with my two different lineups. So that makes sense. One was a non-Lamar lineup that wasn't very chalky. The other was a little bit less chalky, the Lamar lineup, and playing that balance of risk reward. So I should have been okay with that. It would have left $500 on the table. It would have used Godwin over Andrews. And the goal of this lineup was because Andrews was questionable coming in, and I thought that if his snaps are impacted in any way, then likely will benefit. Obviously, Andrews just got straight up hurt and likely benefited regardless. But I thought just going in, that was my goal with this lineup. So yeah, if I use Godwin here, Moose, it's $1 million in the bank, and I was still kicking myself because it was a very clear mistake as far as getting too unique for this contest size.
Yeah, and sorry if this sounds hurtful or anything, but
you can't hurt me. You can't hurt me at this point.
So, please don't clip this, people. But it seems like you have your subsets really, really good. You have your satellite strategy down. You have your 150 max, 150 classic, your small field. You have everything really good. But when it comes to something that's out of your comfort zone, out of your element, in this case, a 2-entry, 639 player field. It happened before with some of the live final round 1, round 2s you've had where because you're not used to playing this every single week, that kind of you're not entirely sure how to play it correctly, how to play it the best way, the most optimal way. And you might use some of your other things. Well, if I play, in this 5,000 player contest that I play, there's no way in hell I'm playing God because it's getting duped 20 times. But maybe one other person would, if one other person had it, would you be fine splitting 500,000? So kind of take me through, do you think playing these one-off random contests kind of hurts your judgment? And if it does, what can we do to counteract that?
Yeah, it's just tough in general because you play these types of situations a couple times per year, maybe, right? Like whether it's live finals, whether it's big tickets, you can't really. I spent all day Tuesday and Wednesday just researching this contest size and what works, what doesn't, and I felt really good about my strategy. I loved what I did, and even if Bateman doesn't get hurt here, this is like a top 15 lineup. So yeah, I don't know. It was still a very clear mistake. That's all I can say. A very, 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 very costly mistake. And yeah, I would have been fine if I'd have got first and split 3 ways for $300K. Whatever would have been $400K. Yes, obviously that'd have been great. I would have loved that, and I probably should have been more okay with that. But I was more, I don't know, because you got to figure here, right? Like this lineup with 2,500 left over, Bateman not only has to score well, but he has to outscore Andrews, and he has to outscore Godwin. And in what, just going back and looking at it now, it's easier in hindsight, obviously. But in what game script does Lamar support 3 different pass catchers, right? If it's going to be a pass catcher, it's probably going to be Duvernay or Bateman, not necessarily both. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. I was also very, very locked into a 4-2 or 5-1 type of lineup. This was a 4-2. Should have been more okay with the balanced lineup. But again, I was locked into so many different things that. I just overlooked the fact that would be a really good lineup and it wouldn't be duped, or if it would, maybe once, and be okay with that. Yeah, still sick. Going back and look at it now. I was sick all day Friday thinking about it.
Yeah, and also it seems interesting from a standpoint of if you did play Godwin, and what game script would happen where you have 2 pass catchers from Tampa Bay, but not the quarterback, or two pass catchers in general without a quarterback, could be potentially tough to get there. So. That could potentially lower the duplicated chances. In the big GPP, that lineup with Godwin instead of Bateman was only duped, I think, 15 times, 14 times, something like that. So
yeah, I wish I knew that beforehand because I would have played it then. If it was only 14, that's probably safe here. So I don't know. I mean, in Tampa Bay's offense, it was just the offense was flowing through Evans and Godwin and Brady. Whether or not he was going to capitalize on his touchdown variance or not, there's a very real chance that both these guys could put up, 6, 7, 8 catches, 90+ yards. You don't even have to get in the end zone as Evans didn't or Godwin didn't. Still make the winning lineup in this one. So Again, it was a great lineup. Missed it. Let's just hope I get another chance not to miss it again.
Yeah, I tried to pull up your other lineup, but it was too far down the list to pass the 500. So
That was
uh,
it was a Godwin captain without Lamar. Had Brady, had Tucker. It was a little chalkier, but it wasn't duplicated because it didn't use Lamar. So again, I felt great about that lineup too. But that lineup had two guys get injured, not just one. It had Edwards and it had Andrews. So yeah, 2 3-3-3-3 lineups had 3 combined injuries. So just I'm not even I'm not even complaining about that part. I probably should be complaining about that part, but I'm just complaining about what I can control.
exactly. Yeah, that makes sense. Damn, that sucks.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, so let's hop back over to let's see, pull everything back up. See if we have any questions. No questions. So Brian, I guess we can hop over to Fantasy Labs to see what happened in the main slate.
Yeah, let's take a look because it was super chalky once again. There were 2 issues this week, Moose, with our style of play for GPPs. Is that one, obviously all the chalk exploded.
Yeah.
So many different running backs went off that even if you got leveraged in some places, it didn't matter because so many different guys scored 2-3 touchdowns that your leverage was just erased immediately. And 2, there were no game stacks that had a really good run back. So like all my lineups, I had so like my Miami lineups, I had a Miami 4-1. I had Tua with Waddle and Tyreek and Gesicki, all who either had 100+ yards and a touchdown. But nobody on Detroit scored more than 10 points, miraculously, unless you ran it back with Jamal Williams, which I was not galaxy brain enough to do. Arizona, I had a 4-1. Again, that was the one I needed just one touchdown there. Had a 4-1. All 3 guys caught touchdowns, but Adam Thielen, they had literally 5 different guys on Minnesota score a touchdown. So, yeah, so all the 3-0s and all the 2-0s and all the cash lineups got there because there was no viable run back that scored enough points in any of these game stacks, which is devastating.
And it's just you pretty much hit that one on the head. That's tough. And we can see
Theme of the week is tough.
yeah, theme of the week is tough. But I do want to say, hey, of course, let's see if the leaderboard will actually work. Oh, sweet. Does it? Yes. I did want to point out though, I don't know. I think you got was it the top 3 lineups or here it only shows top 2, but Great Papon had second and third, pretty much the same lineup, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, that person won. If you look at all the contests, it was like $500,000.
Oh wow!
Combined. The play action $9. They won like everything. Somehow didn't get first here, but it was like $500K combined. Yeah, just an insane lineup.
Yeah,
is that his lineup? That's their lineup right there. The double Jets.
This is the one here. The second and third lineup. The lineup that was in second and third were exactly the same, except defenses were switched.
Let me see. Go down.
One was Arizona, one was Houston.
I don't know how you played both Garrett Wilson and Tyler Conklin together, but it helps when you play a 2 or 3-0 and you play Pollard and Foreman who combine for 6 touchdowns. Oh, you play Kamara too. Now you combine for 9 touchdowns. So yeah, but that's the thing. Pollard 51% 3 touchdowns. Foreman 22% 3 touchdowns. Kamara 12.5%. He was like way higher in higher dollar stuff. 3 touchdowns. Even if you played some of these other guys, like you're like, oh, I'm gonna pay up for Henry this week. I'm gonna pay up for CMC. It didn't matter because all these lower guys put up 3 touchdowns. So it was just a disaster week for leverage for sure.
Yeah, and what I did in my single entry lineups was I knew Pollard was going to be 50+% owned. I thought Deontay Foreman was probably going to be closer to 30-40% owned. I don't know what you did in your 150 max, Brian, but if I was doing the 150, I would have locked Pollard. I probably would have locked Foreman, honestly. Just such a cheap person and such a good role. Curious what you did with your running backs.
I had like 50% plus of both. On FanDuel was even higher. I had, I think, close to 70% Pollard. Because there were some good guys in good spots. I thought if I didn't play Pollard in 100%, there were guys that could outscore him and there'd be some major leverage in those lineups. But it didn't matter because he scored 3 and everybody scored 3 touchdowns. But yeah, I had like 50% Deontay Foreman at 50% Pollard, 50% Foreman on DraftKings and lost money in 150 max. I played Pollard in every single small field on FanDuel. I played Foreman in 3 out of 4 on FanDuel. Played him in a ton in DraftKings. So it didn't matter. Like it literally didn't matter. The margin for error was so small because everybody crushed. And And as Neil says in the chat, he locked Hurts and AJ Brown at 150 max and barely made a profit. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it was a tough week when everybody goes off.
Yeah. And I mean, this is the Millie winner from All Star Harry, who had just one lineup. So shout out to Harry for
Beast.
crushing it. Yeah, the 3-0 Miami stack with Kamara, Pollard, and DJ Moore at the flex instead of Deontay Foreman with New Orleans defense. Great play. New Orleans 0.9%. We knew, Brian, that Raiders had some sort of bug going around. We knew he probably wouldn't have been 100%. In hindsight, that probably also would have been a good defensive play.
Yeah, I think they were top 3 or top 4 in the model. I had a good chunk of them, 12-15%, I think. Yeah, that was overall a great play. And here's a key point that I think a lot of people need to think about here, and this is for all DFS GPPs, but especially this week. It's like, yeah, I want to play Pollard. I want to play Foreman. I want to play Tyreek. I want to play Waddle. It's like if you play these guys, yes, understand that they're in good spots and they do well. But when Chalk does well, the scores are outrageous, and it's really hard for you to win. Really, I think we talked about it a couple weeks ago when I was disappointed when I said I didn't have a shot on the week where Chalk busted. Those are the weeks we should be winning. Like if you look at my $1 million single game, it's like a lot of Chalk failed and it was a lower scoring game. We should be able to win more GPPs when it's lower scoring. When it's higher scoring, that just means so many more lineups are competing for the top prize.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So, yeah, you're playing your 150, you're playing your 20, you're playing your single entry, and it's like, shit, I don't really feel great about fading Tyreek Hill at 28%. I don't feel great about fading Pollard at 51% or whatever, right? But it's like if they go off, now you're just playing 7v7, you're playing 8v8. And all these lineups that use them, it's kind of like, I know we talked about hockey before. It's like, yeah, you could play these chalky lineups, these chalky players, but now you're just playing against not only against people who properly stack those teams, you're also playing against just this boatload of other lineups that just have all these various one-off pieces that someone's going to find the right combo. Multiple people are going to find the right combo, and it's really tough for you to win. You're much better off when you're playing lower owned stuff and it goes off, and your fingers crossed that the chalk doesn't go off. Because if that happens, now you're not competing with really anybody.
Yeah. The only thing I will say to counteract that, just to be devil's advocate, we talked about it before when lower priced running backs, I know Pollard wasn't min priced at all, where they're stupid high owned, and if you're 150 max and you just lock button them or just absolutely crush them over the field and get leverage that way.
Sure, that I understand. It's more so like Tyreek, Waddles, DJ Moore, those guys.
Yes.
Even Tua at 21%. Like that's tough to. I mean, because I don't know, but it's tough because if you play it, you really need that run back to hit. Like these guys can obviously hit without the game going off, but you leapfrog so many lineups if Amon-Ra goes off, if DeAndre Swift goes off, if the Hawkinson, whoever. So I don't know, man. It's just frustrating to see it keep happening. But there's no doubt that we've already seen a couple weeks so far. The chalk's gonna miss, and when we miss, we just need to be in position to take advantage of that.
Yeah, exactly. And as you point out here, Tua Tyreek was 4% of the field times 6 million entries. I don't even let's see. I mean that's
pretty high, right? Like 2.6% is pretty high generally for a 3-man stack.
Yeah, and you're trying to compete with roughly 8,000 people or so. That's kind of tough to do.
Yeah, that's a 6v6 versus now you're playing a 6-man lineup versus 8,000 people. You got no shot. Just sorry about it. You have no shot when that's the case.
Definitely. So let's go ahead and take a look at the reports really quick. Again, use your salary. Please don't go below your salary. Remember to snip there. Somehow tight ends did well in flex. Running backs did even better. So yeah, don't use tight end in flex. We talk about all the time.
Yeah, shocker that running backs did well when 8 different running backs scored 3 touchdowns. Yeah, that's super shocking.
I know. And if we take a look at duplicates, of course,
they probably crushed.
I mean, look, damn, holy shit! Look at this lineup: Tua, Tyreek, Pollard, DJ Moore. Look, wait, does that only have one? That only has one running back.
Oh, clearly an error here, right? Because the second lineup, I don't know what's going on. Fantasy Live surprisingly is messing up.
This guy's so good. He said Derrick Henry's going to outscore everybody. 61 people use Derrick Henry.
I'm just going to play Derrick Henry, and that's it. So we can't really use the duplicates report. But can you go to just some of the higher dollar contests and see what won?
Yeah. Let's do like the $1,500 game changer.
Okay. Yeah, let's go.
And that was a Mariota and Drake London stack.
There's
Running
another
back with
reason to
DJ
play
Moore.
small field because like weird shit like this can win.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is basically a chalk lineup outside of the Mariota London stack.
Mm-hmm.
You play Kamara, you play Pollard, you play Hill, you play Moore, you play Moreau, you play Foreman, all cash game staples, and you just play a weird low-owned stack to fit that all in. I mean, this is. I know it's like this is not a cash lineup, but you're still competing against shit like this if all the chalk goes off.
Yeah. You pretty much hit that on the head there. Let's take a look at what we'll say like the Wildcat has got a little bit more entries.
Yeah, let's
That
see.
was a
That
Tua
like
Tyreek Waddle. It's 5,000 entries.
Yeah, so this one, Redcoat, shout out to them. But again, no run back. You're just not going to win when. I mean, look at the ownership here, Moose. Look at the ownership on this lineup.
Everyone above like 20% except for Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, it is this. You're drawing dead if you're a GPP player when this happens. So you gotta limit yourself. Some chalk has to fail for the average player to win GPPs. I didn't even say average player, but like, we look at this and like, oh, a bunch of pros won stuff, but it's not like one specific pro wins all the time when chalk happens, right?
Yeah.
There's so many. There's a thing for me too, Moose. Right? You always see people comment on posts or whatever. It's like, oh, that guy always wins. It's like, yeah, that person wins a lot, but you have to think that we think that about like 500 different players.
Yeah.
That's right. So anytime someone's at the top of the leaderboard, like, shit, that guy's always at the top. It's like, no, that's just one of 500, and anytime any one of them show up, you think that they always win. So we look at this as like, wow, this pro crushes every time. It's like, no, it's like some pro is probably going to crush when all this stupid fucking chalk goes off, but it's not the same guy every time. But you're still competing against all of them, and plus all the other donkeys who just play only chalk, like the casual players. So, so yeah, that's something that's always interesting to me because you always see it on tweets or whatever, people responding to tweets.
Yeah, yeah. I was just going through different lineups, trying to see if there was any small field bringbacks. I don't think there was any.
No, there's no need. I mean, look at this. Every single lineup looks exactly the same.
Ah, shit.
No matter the contest. Look like it's like it looks like you're sorting through Showdown contest. They all look exactly the same.
Yeah, and you hit one wrong button and Fantasy Labs just goes haywire. So sorry about that. So I will take these last couple of minutes as I bring back up the thumbnail so it actually looks presentable. You talked about earlier when we were talking about your lineup on Thursday lineup. There was the lineup on what game was this? It was the Green Bay and Buffalo game a couple days ago. Is that Sunday night? I think it was.
Yeah.
Sunday
Also
night.
was sweating that one. So
where over on FanDuel we had Josh Allen at like legit 90%, 88%, and he was priced out. Even though he was I think he was the highest flex scorer on the slate, got priced out. So 64% MVP. Brian, I think if you're going from that route where you have someone who's 63%, 60+%, 90% plus on FanDuel, I could definitely you could very easily make the case that, especially being I think he was the most expensive player as well.
Yeah, right.
That the slightest sliver of thing goes wrong, he gets priced out, and you absolutely crush. You leapfrog literally 90% of the field.
I know that was actually a really good lineup. I'm utterly shocked that he didn't make the lineup in that game, the optimal lineup. I don't know how it happened, but it goes to show that even when you can't predict everything. Like you may say, well, he's gonna be 90%. He's 100% locked to get. No, he's not. Like shit happens, right? So that's why I made a fade Lamar lineup. With one of my two entries in the 3-3-3-3 because I figured something like that could happen. Lamar could underperform, it's possible, but also there's a chance that enough of the guys score well enough that he's just priced out. Or you don't have to be perfect in small field, right? So even if he is technically optimal, I can still get there without him with a more balanced lineup. So that was thought process. I thought that lineup was that Green Bay specific lineup was really nice.
Yeah, it was a 4-1 with the bring back Diggs for Buffalo. So if you're playing FanDuel and you don't want to get duplicated by 90% of the lineups, I mean, it goes to show, like, even if you play 10, 20, whatever, and you're like, all right, in order to get leverage, I'm just going to lock them all in. It's like, well, are you really getting leverage if you're just It's
No,
a
because
little
now you're
bit
just playing
over.
4v4. It's like,
Yeah, unless you want to lock them in 100% on your MVP, which yeah,
even then, you're not apparently not even getting that much because if he's
yeah,
76%, it's like I'd rather just fade it then and just hope that he has a
yeah,
bad game.
yeah, exactly. Spread that 10% across all the different 5K players that actually have a chance. And when Torre actually catches a touchdown, you're like, holy shit, I have a chance. And
I know.
yeah,
I
that's what
actually
matters.
had a lot of Torrey on the Sunday night slate. Naturally got really close, but didn't with the hump. So let's just leave with this, Moose.
Mhm.
The reason I wanted to talk about a lot of the stuff here and show this is like, listen, I mean, just if you look at our Discord, right? So many people are complaining or asking about 1v1s and like you're gonna make wrong 1v1 decisions all the time, right?
Yeah,
And for those of you watching, probably not going to be a $995,000 decision. So you have that to go off of. But I wanted to let you know that happens to everyone. Everyone makes mistakes. And we need to not focus on 1v1 player selection. We need to focus on the larger stuff. I was mostly pretty happy outside of the lineup construction there. I was mostly pretty happy with everything else I've researched, everything else I put into. A lot of stuff I've been doing, I've been really happy with it. You can't really worry about the player stuff. It goes back to our pick'em stuff too. We can't really worry about which teams we're picking. We're just playing the ownership. We're playing the numbers
Mhm.
game. So um, focus less on the players, focus more on the overall macro high level stuff, and you'll be better off. Sure, we can tilt the 1v1s here Sunday nights or on this stream or whatever, and there'll always be a place for that. But don't let that be your source of disappointment because that's going to happen in a game where you're predicting human performance. It's going to happen all the time. So we can't
Yeah,
really harp on that.
yeah. You pretty much hit that on the head perfectly. So we'll wrap it up with that. Brian, I don't know. I actually have some real life stuff I have to go to on Saturday, so I probably won't be able to make the stream on Saturday. We'll have to talk, figure something out. There will be a stream on Saturday, and then we'll be back again on Tuesday to break down Brian's next week's lineups. Hopefully, we keep some more of that green flowing in. But until next time, Moose and Brian from Occupy Fantasy.